Hello, everyone. My name is Erika Murray, and I am the CEO and founder of G. G means unity, and we are putting the date back into dating. This is a date. Two people sitting together, looking into each other's eyes, potentially holding hands. They're having real-life connections. This is current online dating.
There we go.
This is a date. This is current online dating. So we have people on their phones, swiping, searching through profiles. Eventually people match, and then they chat. And that's where current online dating applications essentially stop. The problem is a social epidemic. It's actually recognized online dating app fatigue. Could also be known as Tinderitis. There is a proven declining satisfaction with dating apps. Everyone is chatting online, searching, and struggling to meet up with people. The solution is G. G is a social bidding and scheduling platform. It is not a dating app in the traditional sense, so there is no swiping and endless chatting. How big is the dating app market? So in North America alone, it's a $2 billion industry. The average user spends $250 a year on dating app subscriptions. The average person has 5 dating apps on their phone. So if you have Tinder, you have Bumble, you have Match, you have POF. And on all of those platforms, you are endlessly chatting, trying to figure out, hey, you seem pretty cool. Are we going to meet in downtown Toronto? Are we meeting on King West? What time? What do you want to do tonight? The global market for dating apps is also massive. In Asia, Tinder and Badoo have been battling, but the market is actually expected to expand up to 25% in the next 5 years. Now, what is G? How is it different? What does this thing do? G is focused on emojis. We have created an emoji-based calendaring system. So a user, looking at the first slide, would essentially load up their calendar with emojis as to what they want to do. So on Friday, I want to go to sushi and wine. I then can create an emoji code for someone I'm talking to on Tinder, share that code with them, and then essentially they get access to my proposed dates. Now, the beauty is, and the gamification is, I can create multiple codes and share my dates with multiple people. So now I have 5 people who have asked me out for sushi on Friday, and I get to pick the best person. What is our business model? How are we going to make money? We've actually turned dating on its head in terms of scheduling and suggesting what to do, but also in terms of our revenue model. So at launch, we are not going to be having heavy user subscriptions. It will be free. Where we will make money is based on our preferred venues. So if I pick a sushi in King West, if a restaurant wants to be featured in G as a suggested location, they will pay, for instance, if they're a tier 1, a small independent business, they will pay $75 a month. And if a person clicks, brings sushi, they will pay 50 cents. So we are really focusing on our preferred venues right off the hop. In approximately 3 years, once we have built a user base and our preferred venues are providing discounts as well to our users, we intend then to implement the user subscription model. What is our market traction and timeline? So basically, for the first 6 months, we were operating in stealth mode. So I had an idea, I married, divorced, what do? You create a dating app. I have a PhD in engineering. I'm also an intellectual property lawyer. And I have a child, but I didn't have enough to do, so I basically hired a UX designer and really put this thing to work. So once we had the product, we raised our first round in the sense of we brought on a development team investor, and 3 months ago we went live with the concept, showing people, validating the idea. So in 3 months, with basically zero marketing dollars, we have over 1,000 now signups. And I'd encourage you guys all to sign up, so when we launch in the next 3 weeks, you guys can be a part of G here in Toronto. In the summer, we will be focusing on Pride, CNE, Ryerson. In September, we really want to enter the US market. The US market is 12 to 15 times the size of Canada. And then in 2018, really expand throughout the US, not just those cities. And finally, we actually do have plans to enter Asia and Brazil. So a lot of people ask me, how have you been able to do this? It really is a team backing me. Some people get scared, well, that's such a big team. Believe it or not, I've been able to do this by pure, people just wanting to help me and volunteer. So I have advisors who basically coach, mentor me for free right now. I have part-time employees that I pay per the hour. And Blanc Labs is the development shop that's really, put some legs in this game. Also, I've been supported by all of these companies in part of Ozer's Emerging Companies program. My IP firm that I'm leaving is, working hard on securing all my intellectual property. I have SEO, Ultra House, Raphael's here tonight, thank you. And basically, so I have a big team behind me who eventually all want to get paid, hence why I need to raise. So what are we looking for? We are looking for up to 1.5 million to last us 12 to 18 months. We have already raised a pre-seed round at around 250. That's where we're at right now. And there's my contact information. I really, besides investors, I really encourage you all to visit our website, www.jiapp.io, and you can sign up and be among our first users. And most importantly, if you're one of our first users, please, please, I beg you to give us feedback. We want negative feedback, just like from the advisors. This will not work if we don't build a community around this product, and I really take your feedback very importantly. Thank you.
That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
I was prepared not to like it, just simply because this is such a busy space. I've seen so many dating apps, right? But you seem to have hit upon something that is unique. Do you have, you didn't speak much about competition, so I don't know who else has a similar type of an idea. I know that you're an IP lawyer, so you must think about this and how you're going to protect your IP. I'm encouraged by the fact that you're entering into the U.S. market just a few months after launch, but you didn't cover your launch plans for going into the U.S. market. It's going to be very expensive to do that.
Yes, it is. So that's why we're having to raise a large round, basically. We're hoping to get...
It's not Q&A, so it's just simply feedback, okay?
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing work, Erika. Well done. Always love seeing a fellow female entrepreneur up there, so well done. I think you could start off with your story, your credibility right up front. So the fact you're an IP lawyer, great story about you being divorced and this being the reason why you started. It also might just help with your confidence as well, because when you share who you are, that you don't need to worry about the details, you're just sharing your story, so it helps just set the stage for you to be comfortable up there. And number two, I always love to really focus on 3 points per slide. So some of the slides were a little bit busy. So the market as an example, 3 clear points. Specifically, I'd love to see how the dating app industry has grown, the growth, and where is it specifically going. And then very clearly, how are you different within this saturated market? Because we all know it's very saturated. And then finally, just from your 1,000 customers, would have loved to know, what did you learn? And how are you going to take those learnings and now build that into the next version of what you're doing? And how's that going to make you successful?
Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo the great comments. A couple things. One thing is I think the presentation is great. I could see there's a lot of apps and services in this world. And again, as a brand guy, I kind of want this brand to be really, really strong. And I think the consistency from a tactical side could be a little bit more and less data, more sort of pictures of people dating. What's more interesting is I think the slides are in the wrong order. Because you started with this cool story, and then you sort of jerk into the story later in the presentation. But suddenly we're talking about market. Everybody knows there's a dating market, I would hope. And the truth is, investors are constantly looking at dating app ideas. I do think you've got a really cool idea here. I think there's a huge opportunity here. But you want to start with that story, with the strength of that story, and then later go, oh, and by the way, this is the market, these are the competitors, this is what I've done. Last thing is, I'm a little bit worried about the raise you're doing. So most people, I mean, everybody knows there's a framework that exists, and that's that startups raise a certain amount of money from angels or whatever that is, and then they go into a different round, a Series A, Series B, whatever that is. And there's cultures of how that happens, but the culture in Canada, in quotations, if you're raising $1.5 million, typically that would make your valuation of the company have to be very, very high, and you don't have that proof yet. So you're basically going to end up having to give away a huge amount of equity at the beginning of the company, which you don't want to do, because then in your next round, you're losing control, so nobody will want to invest at that level. So that's why there's sort of these investment levels. I'm not sure if you've done the math on that. I'm sure you have. You strike me as a phenomenally intelligent person. But if you walk in and you're at the very beginning asking for $1.5 million, as opposed to $300,000 to $500,000, like I think you might be getting it too far ahead. You might want to try one market, ask for a little bit, and just accept the fact that then the next one will be, the next, et cetera. Now, I raised $1.5 million, so it is definitely possible, but I think from the sort of startup math in Canada, it doesn't make sense. Great presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions from the audience? Come on, you've all dated before.
There's one over there.
Emoji as kind of this pictographic system to explain the different opportunities that are available to people. But what do you do if a company approaches you and there's no emoji that can properly represent what they offer?
Yeah, so that's built in the sense of if a company wants to have their own emoji within the app, we can use their trademark, and they buy from us featuring their emoji.
Top.
Hi, in the example you showed, basically people still communicate through some sort of other app like Tinder, for example, but they use your system as a calendar system. Why can't they communicate through they're still set up the exact same network? What's to prevent them from setting up the calendar system that you have?
Right. Okay, so yes, Tinder can someday set up a calendaring system within Tinder only. Ours is cross-platform. So the game really is people are on 5 dating apps, right? So you can send your dates cross-platform and not just be within one single service. And Tinderitis is really bad.
Any last questions? Oh, right.
Hey, Erika, we met actually a few weeks ago in another event in Toronto.
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely, I signed up. We are connected. The one concern from the perspective of raising whatever amount of funds you will be going after. So valuation is first problem at the start. But the second problem, looking at people who are supporting you, how many current shareholders you have. Because the larger your shareholder table, future investors could look at this slightly from, it will be difficult to deal with a large group, so you have to reorganize it, either give them build trust of some sort, or non-voting shares, or holding company going in to do something. Because it looks like you have about 10 plus shareholders.
No. Right now it's me, currently. So, well, I have a convertible note with the developers, that's it. So once I raise, then they have a very, very small percentage, and that's all my cap table.
Take my question away.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Okay, any last questions? I think that's it. Thank you very much. Awesome.